Alright guys, we just got here to HEB. The other day I came out with a video post about some bread, about some of the things to look out for, and I got a really good response out of it, so I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of take you guys grocery shopping with me for a few things. I don't like to prep for like a week or two ahead of time. I like to prep maybe 2-3 days, so that way my foods are fresh even midweek. It does require a little extra day of prep, but to me it's more worth it. So we're gonna check it out and get that started. Alright guys, so I like to do blueberries at night sometimes. Sometimes I get a little sweet tooth. What I like to do is I like to mix blueberries with just a little bit of plain Greek yogurt, which we'll get to a little bit later. But blueberries are really good in antioxidants. They have a lot of they're superfruit and super vegetables. It's being researched for a lot of things nowadays. But blueberries you'll find are a great way to get fiber in, but also kind of keep the carbohydrates down at night, just enough. Because a lot of people, they try to avoid carbs at night, but you still want a little bit, but you just kind of correlate it with your diet for the day. I just got done training, so being that I train mid-evening, I don't mind having carbohydrates a little bit later during the day today. It'd be different if I trained early in the morning, then I would kind of cut my carbohydrates down a little bit more earlier. Asparagus is really good, guys. I'm not a big fan of broccoli myself. Asparagus is a natural diuretic. Asparagus also has a lot of other benefits as far as like digestion because of the fiber in there. I keep my asparagus pretty simple, salt and pepper, but being that I don't like broccoli, this is one of the few greens that I actually do like aside from spinach. So I like to incorporate asparagus into my diet. So guys, if you don't know, spinach is a natural source of glutamine. Supplemental glutamine is good, but you know, if you can always get your nutrients through real food, that's always best to do. Supplements, just like the name implies, are designed to supplement your diet and exercise. So we want to make sure we're really doing our part as far as the diet's concerned to get a lot of the nutrients we need, and then use supplements for anything extra that we feel that we're not getting. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a few cucumbers. I get asked a lot about snacking, and what I usually recommend for snacking is if you can, eliminate it. But sometimes, you know, you just got to get something. Cucumbers are a really good way of getting in something that's a little refreshing, that has a little bit of sweetness, but that's also very low calorie. Personally, I like to mix cucumbers up with a little bit of lime juice and chili powder. I find it's a really good snack that's very minimal in calories, that's also a little bit filling. And I also just kind of like to cut a few of these up and just let my water soak in it throughout the day too. Adds a little bit of taste to just plain water all the time. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a couple of these. Don't have really any preferred method. I just grab whichever doesn't look bad and just go with it. My wife is also a little bit of a savage, so I gotta get extra cucumber because I know she's gonna get into them. One of my personal favorite carbohydrates to do is red potatoes. Now I know a lot of people, the holy grail in bodybuilding is the sweet potato, but in the case of red potatoes are a very starchy carbohydrate, but for me, I found when used before like a leg or back workout, it's just a really awesome fuel for myself. Kind of get tired of doing the whole brown rice sometimes, the whole sweet potato. I like to cook my red potatoes with like Pam, kind of slice them up, and I like to couple them up with like a beef or turkey, but nothing complicated. I use Pam. Seasonings I don't really care about. I'm not too worried about sodium. I don't know if you remember, guys, earlier I got some asparagus, and one of the tricks to adding a little bit of flavor to your life off season is by using asparagus, because say if your diet does have a lot of sodium in the seasonings, that asparagus can kind of help with a little bit of that water retention, the water balance, so that way you kind of offset some of that too. I'm not really dieting or competing for a show right now, so I'm not too worried about some of the sodium intake, so kind of enjoy life right now. But when I do compete and diet, then I'm a little more conscious about some of the sodium intake, and I'll kind of up the asparagus a little bit to help with some of that natural diuretic effect with the sodium. Hardest part about shopping, walking through the baked goods section. When you're dieting, I advise to bring a gas mask of some sort so you don't smell it, but I do like to have a little bit of sweets here and there. A lot of people don't know, but red meat is not actually red. It's actually dye that they put into the meat to make it look fresh. A lot of these companies know people aren't going to buy the red meat if it's like gray in color, it looks kind of dead. So they inject a lot of red filler into it. So when shopping, you don't always have to get the most expensive, brightest color one. typically what you want to look for is like the marble in the red meat. So like for instance, these two, you compare them, there's not as much white as opposed to this one. So this is a leaner grade of meat to get when it comes to your red meat. Some people don't eat a lot of red meat. I myself, I try to eat it about twice a week, just to kind of help ensure some of that good fat, helps keep some of the size on. As I lean out, then I'll kind of taper some of the red meat out. One of my favorite types of red meat to do is bison. Bison is naturally lean. Here we see 90-10. A lot of beef that people get tends to be like 80-20 or even 75-25. And that's why red meat gets a lot of the bad rap, is because most people buy the fatty grades. If you buy the leaner grades, you actually avoid a lot of the heart issues that come with red meat. Another good one to do, guys, is lamb. Lamb is a little more gamey tasting, but there's also a lot less fat in it. And then also there's a little less cholesterol typically in lamb meat than you will find in bison. So we'll go ahead and grab one of these. Now, if you do want to get and save money, I recommend getting the 96.4 grade on here. 96% lean, 4% fat. Even though it's a little pricier, something to think about though is whenever you cook this, you'll keep 96% of the weight. So say if you're getting a pound, you'll keep 96% of this when you cook it, as opposed to buying, say, 80-20, where 20% of that will disappear when you cook it because it's fat. So you're actually getting less meat. Yes, it's cheaper, but less meat. Same deal with the turkey, guys. I always recommend 93.7. Some people like to go really hardcore and get the 99.1, which I don't see right now. But 99.1, guys, it's extremely dry, unless you're competing or just want to be super hardcore. 93.7 is great even for people on contest prep diets. I just typically use a little bit of seasonal in the turkey and just put it in the pan or bake it, so nothing too fancy. Here's a little tidbit about chicken that not a lot of people know. So a lot of people sometimes they'll buy like the chicken breast by the bag, which is cool if you're trying to be like health conscious. But one of the things you'll notice, like on this chicken here, it looks like boneless chicken breast, but what you're not noticing is it actually says with rib meat. Rib meat is definitely a cheaper meat. It's not terrible, but that just means that it's not all real chicken breasts. The better ones to get are typically the ones in the package over there. These are great, like I said, if you're on a budget with chicken. Not too huge of a deal. For most people it's okay, but for, I guess, your more serious gym rat, probably want to go with the real chicken breast there. And you'll notice that like with over here, here it says just chicken breast, nothing about rib meat, no preservatives or anything. So these typically are a little bit better route to go when getting chicken. I usually don't get the too fancy. I don't really worry about getting organic chicken or anything like that. You know, I think some of that organic stuff is unnecessary, but this will do just fine. One of my favorite things to mix my protein shakes up with, like at nighttime, is the Mootopia. Most milks are actually higher in carbohydrates than they are protein. They have more lactose in them. The Mootopia, if you get the fat-free, is actually the opposite. So if we look at it, this one's actually 6 grams of carbs with 13 grams of protein in a single cup. I don't do a whole lot of dairy in the first place, but I do like to kind of avoid as much lactose as possible. Now when it comes to eggs, a lot of people ask if eggs are bad for you. Number one, anything is bad for you. Too much of anything is not good. But eggs actually have cholesterol in them. A lot of people sometimes freak out about that. But you also have good cholesterol in eggs. And yes, too much is not good, but having about 1 or 2 whole eggs in the morning with egg whites is actually a really good balance between getting good fats, but also having a high protein source for whatever you make in the morning. I typically like to make my eggs with oatmeal. I personally don't like to waste a whole lot of money on like some of the organic eggs and stuff. I like to use the egg whites with my whole eggs. So what I'll do is like I'll do like 2 whole eggs in the morning, but I'll do like a cup of egg whites with it. So that way I'm getting egg protein along with whole egg protein. Egg protein is actually the best type of protein we can get through a solid food. It's what's called most bioavailable. So egg and beef are really potent proteins to consume through whole foods, and whey protein is a really potent supplement form of protein to get. So I really recommend to make use of egg protein in your diet, guys. I'm about to open up a can of worms real quick. A lot of people have mixed reviews on diet sodas. A lot of people like to scream bloody murder about the artificial sweetener aspartame, but a lot of people don't know that the FDA has actually researched a lot of these artificial sweeteners already, and there have been a lot of studies on them, and a lot of the claims and the hype that people make on them have been unable to be duplicated by the FDA and some of these other studies. I think you have to kind of look at the cost to benefit of whatever you're going to use. So like me, I tend to get hungry a lot between meals, and especially when I was contest dieting, I would have about 1 or 2 diet sodas between meals because I would get really hungry, and the carbonation from the sodas would help keep me full so I didn't break my diet. And to me, that was worth the benefit of having diet sodas during my diet instead of breaking my diet. To me, that would have been the ultimate disgrace. So I like to get Coke Zeros. I already have cucumbers for like some snacks, but I don't like to just eat cucumbers. What I also like to do, guys, just for like a quick snack, is I actually like to do pickles. If you get the pickles with the no sugar added, when we look at it, you're at 5 calories, guys, for a serving. So 5 calories isn't going to really, you know, make or break your diet unless you're like really contest dieting. But say for instance though, if you're like on a diet, you've been doing good all day, and something like this is going to really save you from going overboard on something that's say 300-400 calories or even 600 calories from some of these sweet tooths that a lot of people get. So like I like to have these a lot at night. Sometimes I even do like the sour ones. I know they seem kind of gross, but I like the bread and butter chips, so we're gonna go with these. All my foods, when I'm not contest dieting, guys, mustard is actually a really good additive because in mustard, you only have 0 calories in mustard. Definitely don't get the ones that are like honey mustard or, you know, some of these things that have added flavors to them, but if you just get regular plain mustard, guys, you're at 0 calories. And yes, there's some sodium in mustard, but a little sodium isn't going to kill you. Plus, if you're eating asparagus with all your meals, that's a natural diuretic to kind of help retain a lot of the sodium that might be in some of these. But at 0 calories, guys, you can't really go wrong with it. So I like to put this on a lot of foods. The other week, I made this post about the bread, and we'll kind of just go over it really quickly again for those that didn't see. But like here, guys, we have plain white bread, right? If we look at the white bread, the first ingredients, we see enriched bleached flour here, okay? So we think, oh, obviously this is white bread, right? So what a lot of us do is we'll go over here and we'll find like some of the flavored, like these guys, I'm sorry. But we think, oh, hey, honey top honey wheat bread. So we think we're actually making a healthier choice. But you actually see this same enriched bleached flour as the white bread as you do with the other one. So you're really not making any of a healthier choice. So the better options would be like Ezekiel bread or even like that Dave's bread that I've heard about. I don't know if they have it over here. So like for instance, these guys tend to be a little bit better for you. So see here we see organic whole wheat instead of that enriched bleach stuff. So basically what they're telling you is that this is actually whole grain as opposed to just straight out white bread with that one. So always look at the ingredients on your breads. All right, guys, we just finished up some of the grocery shopping. Just so y'all know, one of the great things about Major Muscle is that, you know, I've kind of been there, done that. Over my years of working in the industry, one of the things I found where a lot of people mess up is, you know, their diet's one way, their supplements are one way, their workouts are another. So one of the great things about us is we like to kind of put all that in the same direction. So that way your eating, your training, and your supplements are all geared towards your goal. And you'll notice much better results that way. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing grocery shopping. So that way for those of you that are out there for like weight loss or muscle building, you can actually use some of these same foods just in different portions depending on your goal. So you can actually message us through our Instagram page. You can call the shop, you can email us, whatever it is. You know, send bird messages if you have to. But just get a hold of us, guys, and we'll be more than happy to help you out with any questions that you got. Keep an eye out for some more of the stuff coming out. We got our second shop opening. We're really excited about that. But go ahead and get a hold of us if you have any questions, guys. See ya.